Pass service we made months back. Hey everyone,
I didn't watch it, but
Braden here, coming to you with a breaking Disney
Braden,
news update
your
that
boy.
might just blow your mind. You've probably seen those headlines where people are going into debt to afford a vacation to Disney. You've probably seen people saying Disney's expensive. What else is new, right? Well, there is something new today, as Disney's just announced a new supercharged paid skip-the-line service coming to Walt Disney World later this month, and it is insane. The crazy thing with it is, though, this very expensive service could actually solve a problem regular guests who have been going the past few years, who don't want to pay for all these little upcharges they've been facing, where the issue you have is the lightning lane, the faster line that people pay for. There's so many people in it, it ends.
You've all seen this. What's the mortgage rate? Yeah, the mortgage rate for the premium lightning lane. You can pay monthly, you know? You just got to pay interest. Dude, it's so crazy. I mean, the thing is about it is that only certain people can get it, right? You're only at certain hotels. But I like it being okay. So there's a good and a bad, right? Lightning lanes being $20-$30 is kind of good, but it's also bad because, as you can see, there's all these people for a lightning lane, which is weird. But then again, 85 minutes for Toy Story Mania is absurd.
Ends up slowing down the regular line, the standby line, quite a bit, which is contributing to a worse guest experience for those who already paid a lot for admission and just want to use the regular lines and don't want to do any of the upcharges and have to be on their phone all day booking, skip the lines and all of this. So in theory, if Disney makes Lightning Lane way more expensive, meaning less people are cutting the standby line, that's great for us, right? Well, the way Disney's setting this up here, it does not look like it is going to help the regular guest experience, at least to start. So to get a lay of the land here, Disney's been running their current paid skip-the-line service we know as Lightning Lane for a few years now. It's not beloved by any stretch of the imagination. It's also very convoluted. Earlier this year, Disney actually restructured it, where now instead of having to buy these upcharges the day of, you can at least do it in advance and kind of plan out your day. Right now, one service you have,
non-refundable, by the way. Non-refundable.
Is Lightning Lane Single Pass, where you can purchase a skip-the-line pass for a single attraction and use that faster queue one time. These are the
okay. Crazy prices, first of all, just for one ride. I'm not paying $10 for 7 doors, for number one. It's not even that great of a ride, right? Animatronics are cool, but it's not even that great of a ride. Tron is standby, and it's not even that long if you can get in there, if you get in there at a decent time. Maybe like 45 minutes, right? 45 minutes is pretty good for Tron. Guardians is still on virtual queue. Don't know yet. Rise of the Resistance, $15 to $25. That is also insane. Number one is they're doing single rider lines now. Number one. Number two, sometimes you can get on there and you can get like a 20-30 minute wait sometimes on Rise of the Resistance if you plan it right. Yeah, you got to keep looking at your phone for all this stuff, but I mean, just keep checking you're on your phone anyway, right? 11 to 18 for Avatar. Again, just for a single ride is pretty nuts. If I would pay, the only ride on here that I would pay for by itself would be Cosmic Reef. That's the only one. Only one. Because that's probably the best one out of all of them. And so far, the only issue I've seen with stuff like not working is like the doors not opening or something. That's literally the only time I've seen it not work. Everything else has worked. All the screens, everything else have worked fine. So I never had an issue. I know some people had issues where it would where like the lights were on and stuff like that. I never had an issue. So
the attractions with the most demand for line skipping. Disney just actually increased the maximum prices on these. So in the off season, you can pay as low as $10 per person, depending on the ride, or upwards of $25, depending on the ride, the park, and the crowd levels on the day that you
No, thank you.
So for a family of 4 to skip the line at Star Wars Rise the Resistance at Disney's Hollywood Studios, it can cost $100 on top of theme park admission to get on that one ride one time if you opt to use this feature. However, you also have another service called the Lightning Lane Multipass.
Lilu Dallas Multipass. Have you been on Guardians when the pre-show was down? That must not I mean, the ride itself is good. I mean, the whole experience makes it everything, but I've never had that issue. The pre-show was down. I've gotten lucky. I've definitely gotten lucky. Is it worse? Is it it doesn't, does it, how much does it really affect you though? How much does it affect you? Not much, right? As long as the ride's good. I mean, you don't know what's going on, I guess, as far as the ride itself, but
this one, you pay a flat fee per person per day, and depending on the day in the park, it can cost anywhere from the mid-teens per person to next week at the Magic Kingdom, for example, it is going to cost $32 per person on top of your valid theme park admission. With the multipass,
and that's per person too. Unless it was your first time on the ride, I don't think it affects you at all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's per person. So you're paying lightning lanes per person, which I'm glad. I'm kind of glad that I usually just go by myself, or it's just Amber and I, because paying $20 per person for lightning lanes, and you're still gonna have to wait in line usually for, I mean, waiting in line for 10-15 minutes is not bad, because usually the lightning lane itself is not a lot, and then when they merge you, that's when it usually so it's definitely a good trade-off, but just thinking having to pay multiple for that, crazy. I'm so glad I don't have to pay for myself most of the time.
So you get to pick 3 attractions that you want to skip the line at in advance. In many cases, you can book this a week out, or depending on what hotel you're staying at, you can book it out even further in advance. The caveat with the multi-pass is you don't get access to those single pass attractions that people really want to skip the line at. Also, there are tiers of rides within this service at each park, so you can only book one of the most in-demand attractions to start with.
Oh, yes. Which is interesting because Millennium Falcon, why is Millennium Falcon on this? It shouldn't be on here. It really shouldn't. It's not that great. Honestly, it's not that great of a ride. It really isn't. I feel like it's just okay. But to each his own. You know what I mean? Rock and Roller Coaster, I understand. Slinky Dog and Mickey and Minnie, that could also be a toss-up. I mean, it is popular. It's a great ride. I like Mickey and Minnie. I'm not saying it's bad like Millennium Falcon, but I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to, space things out. Epcot, Soarin', that's dumb. And I wonder if they'll keep that when Guardians becomes part of the multi-pass too. Which, let's face it, come on, dude. I'm gonna say something about Epcot. It's my favorite park, but I'm gonna say something about Epcot that it's lacking a lot. It's basically, if it gets any worse, it will be Animal Kingdom. I'll be honest with the rides, because if you go if you count up the rides, it's only got 1 or 2 more rides than Animal Kingdom, or attraction, or whatever you want to call it, whether it's a show or whatever. So once Animal Kingdom builds up the South America area with Encanto and everything, Epcot and Animal Kingdom will basically be equal with probably the amount of rides it has. Probably just because, well, not necessarily the amount of rides, but like because Epcot has Frozen and it has Ratatouille and it has Guardian. Those are like the three big ones. It also has Test Track too, but Test Track is down, right? Right, future Test Track. You're right, Mark. Just as I was spitting it out. So we do have Test Track looking forward to, but Epcot's not far off from Animal Kingdom. Let's be honest here. When I go there, usually when I go, one of two things. Either you can get on half the rides in 5 minutes, or it's so busy that these rides are like 15, 20 minutes. And you're like, it throws you off because like Figment is a 15, 20 minute wait. Why is that a 15, 20 minute wait? And I just remembered I have a drink in the freezer. Let me go grab that real quick before it explodes. We're back. It was pretty icy, I'll tell you that. Pretty icy. So yeah, Living with the Land, basically a walk-on. Figment should be a walk-on, or it usually is a walk. Nemo, basically a walk-on. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. These rides, Spaceship Earth, walk-on. There's 4 rides that are literally walk-ons right now. Mission Space can be a walk-on if you do the green one, not the orange one. Now, you want to say 5 rides that are walk-ons? Let's say 5 rides that are walk-ons. Frozen, Remy. Oh, hey, Brian. What's up, man? Frozen, Remy, and Guardians are the 3 big ones. Everyone tries to get in line for that. You can catch Frozen if you're lucky at 45 minutes, usually, sometimes maybe 35 if you plan it right. Remy, I got lucky one time on Remy. It was like a 35-minute wait. When I got in the line, it was like it was inside somewhere. Like it was to where like you're on the. It looks like you're on the roof. Right? That was almost a walk on. And Guardians, I've gotten to Guardians one time on a virtual queue. I think it happened twice. Like almost right to the front, like where the video's playing right before you start walking into the big section where they start playing the actual Glenn Close and all that. So like right before that. Soarin', right where they split you. I've gotten that too. So, it just depends whether you're getting lucky or not, whether you know how to work the system, whether or not it's a busy day or not. I mean, those factor in, but I'm speaking too much on this. And then Magic Kingdom, I mean, all these rides. First of all, I don't know why Space Mountain's not even that great of a ride. I'm sorry to say. Not that great. Jerks me around, I get whiplash. Okay, maybe I'm just being old, but that's me. Tiana's a new old ride. Okay, again, I love Tiana, but let's just remove it from virtual queue already. Let's get it out of the way. It should be on the multipass now as he's recording this. I haven't gotten a lightning lane, so again, he's probably right. Peter Plan, I still don't understand why it's so busy. Okay. But in either case, Epcot needs more rides along with Animal Kingdom, right? I know they just rebuilt Epcot, but they didn't do anything to it, so it needs rides
that are part of the multi-pass service. But even with the tier 2 selections, you get to pick 2 of those. There are a lot of good options to choose from. There is a cool new benefit with this one where once you burn your first pre-booked lightning lane, which are all booked for the same park, once you're actually there, if you have Park Hopper, once you've used that first one, your next selection the day of, and every selection after that can be an attraction at a different park. So you can skip the line at different attractions around Walt Disney World all in the same
Look at that ball. That's such a great ball. I love it.
Day. So if you designate someone in your family CEO of the vacation and they do months of Excel spreadsheets spreadsheets and read a few books on game theory.
That's me. I'm that guy.
All the blogs. You can really juice some value out of this upcharge, but that's not exactly what most guests are doing.
Or if you go all the
time. It's not exactly easy to make the most out of this one. We have a whole video on the new multi-pass service we made months back. I will link that in the description.
I know you don't get Peter
Today,
Pan.
that
I
is
know.
Not what we're mainly here to talk about, because Disney isn't stopping with 2 Lightning Lane services.
Take that. Can't stop, won't
When I
stop.
broke the news that Disney was developing this Lightning Lane service, I told you guys about an alternative service that they were considering going with instead. And that would have been a very expensive premium skip the line service only a very small portion of guests each day in the park would pay for.
A la
Well, guys,
Universal?
that service is no longer a rumor. It is finally here. Starting on October 30th, 2024 at Walt Disney World, there will be a new Lightning Lane Pass available for purchase, and it'll be called the Lightning Lane Premier Pass. Disney is starting this service in a pilot phase where only guests staying at select resorts will be able to purchase this pass.
And let's be honest, if you're staying at one of these resorts, hold on, let me read them before. Let me read all of them real quick, just to be sure. Okay, they all look like expensive resorts. I won't say expensive. They all look like resorts that I wouldn't pay for. I'm not paying for these resorts, right? Whatever the cheapest one is, what is it? Is the animation ones cheaper? But the All-Star resorts, those used to be pretty cheap. I mean, they're probably still the cheaper out of all of them. Those I may consider, but I probably still wouldn't even stay at those resorts. It's crazy. But if you're staying at these resorts, you already know what's up. You're probably going to pay for this Lightning Lane.
Those guests staying at moderate or value resorts, or God forbid off-property hotels, need not apply. Only guests staying at the higher-end Disney hotels, as well as some of their affiliated hotels.
He said Pop Century Gang. Hey, this guy said Pop Century Gang. I think they're calling us poor. Well, it
Only
fits.
guests staying at the higher-end Disney hotels, as well as some of their affiliated hotels, will be bestowed the honor of being able to buy this pass. Disney says, at least to start, they're limiting the availability like this in order to see how it goes as part of this pilot phase.
See how
what
it
the
goes.
Lightning Lane Premier Pass gets you is access to the Lightning Lane queue at every single attraction in one park for the day. And you can use that Premier Pass at each attraction in the park you purchase it for one time throughout the day. So the benefit here is, instead of having to buy a Lightning Lane single pass, the a la carte option, or getting the multi-pass and having to book rides in advance and then be on your phone throughout your park day booking more, there are no individual ride bookings necessary with this pass.
Which is good if you are from out of town. Like, if you're not from this state, or if you're like you're in Canada or something, you're coming from Europe or whatever, you don't come here often, this is definitely great. You don't have to worry about anything. You can go on basically every single ride. You got the Lightning Lane for literally everything. You don't have to rush, like all that stuff, right? Perfect, right? Us annual pass holders, us Floridians, you know. Let me just say, what's wrong with being on your phone 5 seconds? Like, it's really quick, you know. I'm on the stream, I do it all the time. I'm like, all right, let's see what's up. All right, let's grab this one. Boom, done. Let's go. And usually it's like within 5 or 10 minutes of me booking it, so I can just go. But, you know, like I said, people are on vacation, they're from out of state, out of country, whatever. Perfect. Because they're paying for the hotels anyway. So you know they got money. They're going to pay for this. Per person, though, iffy.
You buy the Premier Pass for the day, and you are good to go. You can go use those faster Lightning Lane queues at each attraction in the park.
Such a great ride, I love it.
One time per day. With this pass, you can hit every ride that has a Lightning Lane queue, including the ones where Disney sells those single passes. And it also includes all the tiers of rides available for bookings on the multi-pass as well. And Disney's also throwing in photo pass downloads for the day with this pass as well.
You better.
Inside the My Disney Experience app, it'll let you know which
Don't tell me.
attractions you've already used your Lightning Lane Premier Pass at for the day.
That's
and
true.
which ones you still have yet to go. And you can go around skipping the standby at every ride.
It should be unlimited.
Select one use per ride throughout the day, but you are going to have to pay for it. How this works is similar to the multi-pass. 7 days before your first day at Disney's Resort Hotel, you can buy these for each person in your party, for each day, for up to the first 14 days of your trip, if money is no object to you. Because if you scroll way to the bottom of Disney's website into the FAQs, how much do Lightning Lane Premier Passes cost? Quote, prices for Lightning Lane Premier Passes vary by date and theme park.
Can you imagine? Hold on, I need to fix this because I'm leaning like this way. The pricing on this though, man, is so crazy. And I know it's, you know, depending on if it's a busy day or not, it varies, but it should be unlimited. It shouldn't be $400 per person. It should be anywhere from $200 to $300 per person at the most for those hotel people.
At launch, prices will range from $129 to $449 per pass plus tax.
No way.
With the highest prices falling on a limited number of days.
Oh, here we come. We're Christmas time, boy. We're coming, boys.
Here's a look at the pricing at each park, where the lowest numbers you see are what it will.
Look at Animal Kingdom. Oh, poor Animal Kingdom. 129 is like the lowest. That is kind of funny. But you see, look at Epcot. It's not far behind. I'll tell you that. Magic Kingdom, though. I mean, everyone goes. When people go to Disney World, they think of Magic Kingdom.
Will cost at each park in the off-season.
If money is no object for you.
Days, like the middle of September, and the highest numbers are what it will cost on those peak days, like you'd see on 4th of July or Thanksgiving or Christmas, days like that. And
Summer.
Keep in mind, we're talking about that is the price per person per day. So what we're talking about here is for a family of 4 on the launch day, October 30th, this service will cost $329 per person at the Magic Kingdom. So
per
that
person.
Is $1,300.
You see what he did though? Universal Studios Florida, $110. Islands of Adventure, $115. I've been sensing a theme for like the last year or so. Actually, ever since I got my annual pass for Universal. It's just like, okay. Universal's rides, they have as many rides as I would say Animal Kingdom or Epcot, right? But it's still like, what, 40% cheaper? 35% cheaper than Epcot? And with the annual pass, you get free premium parking. Then you get what? You get discounts galore. You get 20% off a lot of things. Like, yeah. And it's for a lot of people who just don't think twice about money. Exactly what it is. Like I said, people out of the country, they're coming here. They're spending $500 a day for hotels. What do they care?
Per person at the Magic Kingdom.
I don't care.
So that is $1,316 pre-tax for a family of 4 to opt for this add-on.
And you know what? If they can do it, more power to them. You know what I mean? If I had the money and I didn't come to the parks often, maybe I came once a year or something, I would totally do that. It's easy. I don't have to worry about what rides we ride and don't ride. Like, if you want to ride every ride, let's be honest, but no one wants to ride every single ride. There's some rides that you don't want to ride. I don't want to ride Aladdin because I'm riding Dumbo. Same thing. So why am I riding that twice? I might as well. I mean, it's basically Dumbo, but just for Aladdin. So it's like, oh, I want to ride Dumbo again. Well, guess what? You can ride Aladdin. So it makes sense in that regard. But no one's riding every ride. You riding the carousel? Might if you only go once a year. But again, I go all the time, so I can't really say. Lightning Lane doesn't. Did they mention that these work for character meetups too? No, we wouldn't. That's true. I wouldn't either. I would, regardless.
And you're also going to need park admission as well. So going with the day ticket rate here for simplicity, for that day at the Magic Kingdom, it's $169 pre-tax for a day's admission. So you add that with the Premier Pass, and for a family of four, you're looking at spending $1,992 to take advantage of this service for one day at one park. And
one day.
To qualify, you need to be staying at one of those select resort hotels, so you're also spending money on room and board.
Look at Old Key West, $500 a night almost.
Here's the thing though, I've been saying for years, Disney should do a premium skip the line service that is prohibitively expensive, like Universal's Express Pass. Braden, are you an elitist or something? No, there's a very simple reason,
yes, and I understand that.
Skip the line service would be great for us. In my opinion, Disney should primarily be catering to the everyday visitor who pays the already pricey theme park admission and expects to get something in return for that. Just have a fun day in the regular queues, having a regular day at the parks. And the issue right now is because of the insane load ratios Disney uses, where they're loading 15, 30 Lightning Lane guests for every 5 standby guests at an attraction, these Lightning Lane services, they are materially diminishing the regular guest experience. You've probably seen a lot of people who have gone to Disney the past few years who say, we're not going back for a while. It's gotten so expensive and we didn't have the best time. There were a lot of people there. How is everybody paying for this? And I think that this Lightning Lane service has a lot to do with that sentiment.
A lot of people
has been developing and that Disney is going to have to face sooner or later to entice a lot of these guests that feel burned out back to the parks. Because people work so hard and they spend so much money just to get to Disney, and then what happens is they realize they need to pay an extra $20 per person per day to have the same experience that was included in the price
What's up, Steven?
Just a few years ago. So often what they'll do is they will pay the upcharge, fill up the Lightning Lane queue, which cranks up the standby wait. And what that's created is this nasty feedback loop where Disney displays those often high standby waits, and they're on the page where you go to buy Lightning Lane, where they're trying to upsell it to you. So that drives even more people to just pay the upcharge, do the Lightning Lane. They see those astronomical standby waits and they say, forget that. So then they're in the Lightning Lane, and then that slows the standby down even more. And that's the situation we've had the past few years, which is definitely less than ideal. So ideally, I personally think there would just be no skip the line offering at Disney. But we don't live in an ideal world. There is a demand for these skip the line offerings. As I see it, if the option is between everybody feels almost extorted into buying these little upcharges just to maintain the fast pass experience they used to get for free, or having a premium expensive skip the line service only a few guests are using each day, meaning most of the time that skip the line queue is empty and the regular standby
look at that
paid line moves fast, I would definitely pick that latter option.
There it is.
Making the skip the line service a once in a while splurge offering means a much better experience for the regular guest who just wants a quick regular standby queue and less people cutting them in line. And it also creates more value for those who do opt to spend money on that extra splurge offering. Let's say it's a special occasion or you just feel like you have to skip the line.
You don't want to spend $400 and be in the same line that spend $30 on the fast pass. You're like, where are these poor people doing? I paid $400 to skip the line, and these $32 fools are in the line with me. What's that? Where do you get off?
That option would be there if you want it, you would just have to pay for it. And if you run the math on if Disney wanted to make the same profit from Lightning Lane with 1/10 the number of guests in the park actually using that line, the prices match up pretty well to what Disney's showing here with this new service. So it's an interesting idea, and it does make some sense why Disney would want to make a service like this. Less people slowing down our normal line, and Disney still profits from Lightning Lane. So taking a look at what Disney just announced here, it's a win-win. My prayers were finally answered here, right?
But
well, there's only one glaring issue here. If you take a look at this announcement, there is no mention of discontinuing the single pass or multi-pass Lightning Lane upcharges. Starting on October 30th, you can pay more than what Universal's Express Pass costs to skip the line at each Disney attraction at one park, one time. but it's not a VIP tour where you just get to get straight on the ride.
First of all, VIP tour. Amy, what's up? And it does make so much sense. I gotta read that. I gotta.
One time, but it's not a VIP tour.
The VIP thing is so expensive. It's crazy expensive, and I don't know how people do it, because I think it's like $400 or something an hour or something, or it's like $200 an hour, and it's like 7 hours. It's just like, bro. And you got this guy, you got to put an earpiece in, and you got this guy talking your head off for the whole 6 hours and stuff. It's like, I want to be, it's a VIP tour is cool, but I want to be able to like do what I want to do. I want to get on the ride. Like, let's not, it's a big group. It's crazy. It's crazy expensive when I see those people do that. It's
where you just get to get straight on the ride. Yes, you're skipping the standby line, but it appears with this service, you're going to be using the same lightning lane queue as everyone else who's using lightning lane.
Yeah.
You're going to be standing
all the
in line
brokies
at each attraction with everyone else in that line who bought a far cheaper single or multi-pass lightning lane option. Not to mention, this is also the line people with disabilities are supposed to use. The lightning lane
we're not even gonna we won't even talk about DAS. Okay, we won't talk about DAS.
Line can sometimes get so busy where the only way Disney can give it any sort of value is just to not let any standby through at the merge point. Now, optimistically, I think that we can assume the reason Disney says they're piloting this new service is that their idea, medium term, is to do exactly what I've been begging them to do. No little upcharge, lightning lane multi-pass. Instead, just have one splurge offering only 1% of the guests
which I'm fine with
are using, meaning
okay.
that our regular standby queues we paid admission for move at a much better clip, leading to a much better overall guest experience. However, it appears they're going to be piloting this service, seeing how guests like it, charging $329 per person on day one at the Magic Kingdom, in conjunction with continuing the single pass and multi-pass.
It's too expensive,
services.
I'll say
I
that.
can foresee this leading to guests who pay this exorbitant fee saying, well, I really liked that I didn't have to use my phone and I didn't have to pre-book rides, but I had to wait in some of these backed up lightning lane lines with people who only paid $20. This was not a great value, and it ends up fizzling out, and this small upcharge regime that we're currently living in continues at Walt Disney World. You'd think what Disney would do here is do away with the little upcharges, clear out those lightning lanes, and then implement a service like this. Because I can totally imagine, you know, it's your birthday or something, and you say, you know what, I'm going to treat myself. I'll pay the extra $300 this one time.
And then you get this line like we did at Soarin'.
Because the lightning lane queue is empty, that would be worth it to people. It would sell out, I suspect. But instead, for the time being, it looks like we are going to have 3 services running simultaneously, which is just wild. We can assume the reason Disney's doing it this way is because they just aren't able to commit to a completely new model right away, and they don't want to interrupt the profits that are coming in from the existing lightning lane service. But I really think that piloting this in conjunction with running the 2 existing services could hinder its success and the value that you could possibly get out of it quite severely. So I really hope this works and they can get rid of the little upcharges. I cannot emphasize how great that would be for us regular guests who aren't going to pay any upcharges. I'm not paying for lightning lane. I'm not doing it. I told you guys when they announced Genie Plus, I'm not paying for it. And if there were way less people in the lightning lane queue, it was just this once in a while splurge offering a very few number of guests each day use, our standby lines would move so much faster. They would move faster than the lightning lane currently does. But I don't know, guys, the way they're implementing this, trying to do all 3 at once, I'm concerned this isn't going to work nearly as well as if they would have just committed to this one service and tried to set up that way for a while, or factored in the loss of value due to all the extra people that you're going to have to wait in line with, at least to start here, by pricing this lower until it does become the only lightning lane option. Let me know what you guys think about this wild service. We'll be watching this service debut soon and see exactly how it works. Is it possible that they're going to make another queue or another way to get on the ride going through the exit or something for these people? I just can't imagine spending over $300 to wait in line with someone who spent $15 to be in that same queue at any given attraction. There are advantages here where you can hit every ride in the park one time. You don't have to play on your phone. That's great. But the fact that you have to stand in those lightning lanes with everybody else, I do think takes away a lot of the upside here. I do hope it works though, just on the basis of it potentially eliminating the multi-pass.
Look at
Maybe
that.
even the single pass as well. There's some arguments in favor of just keeping that as an a la carte
The
option,
visual.
but I like the idea of just one ridiculous splurge offering for those who feel like they just have to skip the line, meaning that the lightning lane is empty most of the time and we can get back to having quick standby queues at the attractions we love, like we had when there was no skip the line at all when the parks reopened a few years ago. A wild day for Disney. Be sure to subscribe with those notifications.
This visual kind of does it. Like, explains everything for you. And it's so easy to just get it when you see it in action like this, right? So, yes. But I think, okay, we get rid of the single and multi, we keep premium, bring it down a tad, just a little bit, right? For anything over $400, it is insane. It's completely insane, right? $129 is not bad, but you're only using that for Animal Kingdom. $160 for Epcot. I would maybe do like, yeah, $120, $150 for Epcot and Animal Kingdom, and then Hollywood, like $200, $250, and then Magic Kingdom $300 maybe, right? Somewhere around there. You're a lot of it. Not a lot of it, but you bring it down enough to where, like, even sometimes people who want to go can maybe think about possibly buying it. Like, I do say Universal does have it good to where it's an extra $100, right? To ride everything once. So I feel like they're doing it right, because it's like it's enough. And you know what? The other thing is too. I know that Magic Kingdom is the bigger of all the parks, right? And they have like 20-something rides there, and then all the other rides don't have under 20, and that's why it's more expensive. But and everyone goes there, but that doesn't matter, because the way that all of our bank accounts are set up now, like no one really wants to pay that, except for maybe the out-of-town people. So if you want other people to consider paying for it, you got to drop it a little bit. Now maybe you give the out-of-town people like the unlimited version for $400, right? Unlimited version. How can a family pay $400 per person? There isn't. It's not really, no way. But what I'm saying is, people that come from out of the country, Canada, Europe, whatever, they're visiting, they're staying at these expensive hotels paying $500 a night anyway. That's nothing to them. They're going to pay it. I'm sure there's people that have paid it already. But to have both, it is contradicting each other. Right? So we need to have a happy medium between the two. So lower in the premium pass, the way like Universal does it, and get rid of the multi and single pass, and you'll have a happy medium. They're just doing it because they're Disney and they know people will pay for it. That's really all it is. Unfortunately, which is why the more I go to Universal, the more I'm just like, it's just crazy. Like, yeah, Disney knows that they have all the nostalgia, they have the Disney name, they have all the characters, right? But that's why they do these things, because they think their stuff doesn't stink, is what it is. So yeah. Lower the price. Let's get it, you know what I mean? And then everyone will be happy, right? and get rid of the regular lightning lane. So that's my take.